YouTube. This is MT Shark 7 here. This is going to be basically hopefully a quick run through of every single game I've beaten in 2015. I'm going to basically just give a quick overview of it and my thoughts on the game, like kind of mixed. A slight disclaimer, some of the games I actually didn't personally beat. I watched them on YouTube, like from the beginning to the end, but once we get down to that list, I'll let you know, and I'm sure you'll be like, oh, well, that's understandable in this situation. So, really don't want this video to be too long and boring, so without further ado, let's get started. I have my list right here, my document of all the games. I typed out everything, so just to kind of help speed the video along, so I'm not, like, thinking, like, what to say and all that, so everything's written out in plain sight. So, yeah, that's enough blabbing and let's get started. So, the first game I beaten in 2015 was Wolfenstein: The New Order for the PlayStation 4. This game had an amazing storyline. It did a fantastic job of creating a world overrun by Nazis. Like, they basically won World War II, and they took over. The ending was quite sad. I'm not going to give away, just speaking side note, I'm not going to give away any spoilers in any of the games, but the ending was quite sad, making you feel for the character, which is kind of hard to do in a first-person shooter when it's mostly just action. There's not really a whole lot of story going on. But I would recommend playing the game on Uber difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game, mostly because it's real easy to get past, like, any tough spots. Like, for me, when I got stuck, I mean, I would just keep doing it until I figured out a really easy method to get past said part, or I'd, like, probably look up, like, a quick video online which showed me how to do it, like it was like child's play pretty much. But yeah, it was quite rewarding, and yeah, definitely highly recommend it. Second game was The Evil Within for the PlayStation 4. This game was very fun to play, even though there was only one level in the game that basically creeped me out. I was very entertained by the game's, like, creepy atmosphere, especially, like, some of the enemies were kind of creepy, mostly the bosses. I didn't understand the ending to the game. Like, my friend beat it, and he, like, told me about, like, what the actual ending was. And I'm like, really? But, I don't know, if anyone knows, like, I don't know, can clarify it. Well, spoilers, I guess just message me on Facebook or whatever. But, yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that game. Third game was Destiny for PlayStation 4. This game was fun, but the storyline made no sense. And, like, I don't know if it was because, like, sometimes it would take a while to continue it, because I was playing with my one friend, and sometimes he couldn't play, and other times I couldn't play, but we ended up beating it together, and, yeah, we got lost, like, halfway up. I got lost, like, in the storyline, like, halfway into it. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, I get the whole gist of the game, but I don't know. I think what happens is, like, there's so much repetitiveness in the game that, like fogs your memory, so you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I have no idea. And so, on a continuation of that, the fourth one is PlayStation, or Destiny, the first downloaded content. I forget the name of it, what it's called. The original downloaded content that came out for Destiny, obviously for PlayStation 4. It was definitely, for it being, like, a highly anticipated, like, DLC, it definitely fell rather short, and it doesn't offer much to the player. The story, again, made no sense, and it was extremely short. I think there was, like, 4 levels or something like that. It was outrageous and definitely not even worth picking up. And also, like, when you get further in the game, well, I think at that part, you could only upgrade if you obtain, like, better gear, and as opposed to usual methods of upgrading is by experience points. Excuse me. which is the reason why I cannot play the second download content, because I ended up picking up the season pass on sale on PSN, and I haven't played the second downloaded content at all because it says I'm not leveled up enough. So whatever. I'm not losing sleep over it at all. Now the next game I beat was Silent Hill Origins for the PSP, and it's funny because I tried to play this game like a couple years back when I got it originally from eBay, and I just haven't picked it up. So I was like, I've been on travel a lot last year, so I'm like, well, why don't I beat it? What else am I gonna do? So the game it's kind of like a hard pill to swallow. Like the first, once you get it, it's hard to get into the game because it's really a pain in the ass, especially like the second area. I think it's the asylum, I think it's called, and it's just really hard to get past that part. Just long. That's basically the main reason. It's just so long. But once you got past the second area, it was pretty fun. It got the other areas were not that bad. I think there's only 2 more after that. But yeah, the game was actually really short. I think the asylum or mental institution, whatever it's called, the second part was the longest part in the game. And after that, it's like wow, beat the game already. I mean, I would not recommend it, but just once you get past that part, then it's pretty much gonna get entertaining. The 6th game I beat was God of War Ghost of Sparta for PSP. It was a great game. I mean, it's a hack and slash, nothing really much to say about it. It's a great story, and I believe it all takes place between God of War 1 and God of War 2. So, I mean, I have all the God of Wars. I would like to play them all again, in the actual order, timeline-wise, but I'll probably never get around to it. And speaking of, the 7th game I beat, wait, is that right? Yeah, 7th game was God of War Ascension for PlayStation 3. And even though the game gets a lot of hate, but I honestly thought it was my favorite God of War. The story was excellent. You learn how Kratos' story initially from the beginning, and I think it is the first game in the timeline. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I guess let me know. But I think when I looked it up on Wikipedia, it was. I don't know. Wikipedia isn't always correct either. So anyway, the 8th game was Medal of Honor Warfighter for PS3. The game had an amazing storyline. Sort of did with the Call of Duty games, how they bounce back between multiple characters in the game. Yeah, and they did it rather well too. It wasn't confusing. You could be okay, yeah, now I know where in the story said character is. The game actually gets quite emotional towards the end of the game, mostly for me since I lost, as most of you know, I lost my cousin in Iraq. So I can kind of relate how the characters actually feel in the game, which was quite impressive to be honest. The 9th game I beat was Wolfenstein 3D for the Super Nintendo, and funny thing is I was just basically just bullshitting around on this game. I was playing on the Retron 5, and I just basically beat the game with cheat codes. I used the cheat codes on the Retron 5. I used unlimited ammo and unlimited health. And for shits and giggles, they have a goofy code in there where BJ is smiling the whole time, which I think he only does it if he gets the chain gun. And they have it where he's always smiling, and I couldn't take that game seriously at that point. It was just so hilarious. So I was just going around blasting all the enemies, and yeah, it was really fun and entertaining. I beat it. I mean, I did play it legit way back when I bought it, but I got to one boss and I just couldn't get past him. I don't even know where my list of cheat codes is that I jotted down all the levels as I was going through the game. So it was fun to play. And there's tons of levels too, which is surprising for an SNES card. And the 10th game I beat is oh wow, we're a quarter of the way done. And we're at 10 minutes. Oh god, I hope this isn't a 40-minute video. Oh geez, I better step it up a notch. 10th game is Donkey Kong Country 2 for the SNES. This game is probably the hardest out of the trilogy, but it is the most enjoyable in my opinion. It has like one of the best soundtracks. Oh, excuse me. Out of the three, and yeah, it's so much fun. Definitely, you have SNES. You owe it to yourself to pick that one up. And the 11th game was Donkey Kong Country 3 for SNES. This game didn't get a whole lot of. This was probably like the least favorite among gamers, and I can kind of see why, because of how they changed things up a bit. But it was still enjoyable. It was actually probably the easiest out of the three games. But yeah, I think mostly just the navigation is the main difference between the first and second. But I mean, once he figured it out, it wasn't too bad. Like, there was a few times where me and my friend were playing, we got lost. We're like, where the hell's the next stage? But once we, like, got into the game, it was like, oh, okay, now we know. It wasn't too bad at all. Then the 12th game was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare for PS4. This game had a great storyline, even though it was totally far-fetched. It was, like, all, like, quote, like, future, like, technology they used, and... But Kevin Spacey was an amazing actor in the game too, which made it enjoyable as well. The 13th game was Little Big Planet for the PS Vita. This game was fun. I mean, just a basic side-scrolling adventure game, just like all the other Little Big Planets. Surprisingly, like some of the main and like side bosses, they were kind of challenging, I thought, but it was definitely a good game. I'd highly recommend it if you have a Vita and you're like me on travel. And well, I didn't use it on travel; I played on vacation, but it's definitely worth picking up, I would say. 14th game was Deadly Premonition, the director's cut for PS3. I beaten this game. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about this because you can just look at my review, like, way back when. I think it's a miscellaneous video, so check that out if you want to see like a full in-depth review of that. Trying to cut down the time here. The 15th game was Adventure of Batman and Robin on the original Game Boy. This game is fucking impossible. It is so difficult. Like, the only reason my friend and I got through it is because we used like save states on the Retron 5. And what is that? And the controls in the game were also a little wonky, especially when there's parts, like, especially towards the end, where you rely on the control to get past that certain part, and it just horrible. But oh my god, so frustrating. It would be I think it would be definitely a better game if they added more power-ups and stuff to give you an edge in a way. It's just crazy. I'm like, man, how can anyone ever beat that game? I would have broken my Game Boy way back when. Speaking of Game Boy, the 16th game was The Simpsons Bart vs. the Juggernauts. And I didn't know what this game was about. It's my friend's game. He brought it over for our usual Tuesday hangout and play games. It's basically just a game show. It's you versus the quote-unquote Juggernauts, which is a bunch of bratty kids. And you have to attain the highest score in the game in order to basically progress in the game. And there's some parts that are challenging, but it seems once you get used to like how the games work, it doesn't really seem as challenging to get the highest score. And the 17th game was Ren and Stimpy Space Cadet Adventures for the original Game Boy. This game was actually a pretty challenging platformer. It's short, it's very silly, it's Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, lots of areas were quite difficult getting past without using save states, to be honest. And game number 18 I beat, Wild 9 for the PlayStation 1. This game is quite a silly game. But of course, what else would you expect from the creators of Earthworm Jim, you know? The game took a little bit getting used to, mostly because the controls. It's the one where you can flip. It was like early on. I think the game was released early on of the DualShock life, so you can still you can flip between the analog stick and the D-pad. Go with the D-pad because the analog stick just fucks you over tremendously. At least for me, it did. But it's definitely basically just have this tether, and you're supposed to like smack the enemies around, and it's really hard to do with the analog stick. And just go with the D-pad. It's so much easier. Storyline was quite odd. Like, you had to basically save a chick that doesn't give two fucks about you, and she's a complete airhead. Oh my god. Oh, this is so bad. Oh my god. And even like the quirky like comments were like, oh my god, it's like so silly. But are tricks to the game. There's to get extra lives. You can save a game and exit the game, get a bunch of lives, quit the game, save it, load it up again, and then get more lives. And you just keep on doing that until you have a shit ton of lives, which the fastest way I found was to beat. I watched the perfect run of the first level, and I just kept doing that over and over. I got continuous end lives, which it gives you. So that's definitely worth it, because the game does get quite challenging further on, especially with the hit detection. Like, some of the hits I call bullshit. But yeah, I mean, otherwise it was kind of silly game, and I enjoyed beating it. Game number 19 was Knack on the PS4. This game had an amazing storyline. It felt like you were watching a Disney Pixar film. The animations and graphics were flawless. The only issue I had was the frustrating difficulty of the game. I usually like the challenge when I play my games, so I'll start it usually on hard. But I got to the second, I guess it was the official first level of the game on hard, and I couldn't get it. I got halfway through it, and I just was I'm done. And then so I assumed the difficulty. I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. So I put it on normal, and it was still kind of challenging, but I ended up getting through it. But difficulty aside, it was a highly enjoyable game, and I would highly recommend it. Game number 20. We're halfway there. Oh my god, I'm hoping to be under 40 minutes, guys. We'll see what happens. This game is, did I say what 20 was? It was Boomer's Adventure in Asmic World for the original Game Boy. This game is a kind of a neat, challenging puzzle game. If you like games like Space Panic or Lode Runner, you'll definitely enjoy this one. You basically have to shoot the guys, and they go underground, and you get items and stuff, and you have to find keys. It's a really interesting game. It's definitely a nice twist on it because it's an overhead view rather than a side-scrolling view, which is pretty cool. What else? Game number 21. Should I break this up in 2 parts? No, I'll just keep going. Shit, I don't know. I'm halfway done. Yeah, fuck it, I'll break it up. This is the first part of 2. So I'm halfway there, and see you in the next part. It's MT Shark 7 signing out.